So next up, this is our last panel in this room today. Woo. Yes, and one most of us are very interested in, which is funding game startups. It's a big topic for many developers, and this panel brings perspectives from both founders, and investors. Please welcome Garrett Young, co-founder of Empty Vessel. Again, we're welcoming back JJ Jin, CEO of NC America, and Teppei
Tsutsui.
Whew, there you go, general partner of GFR Fund. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great intro. Is this working? Test, test. Yeah, it sounds like it's working. So look, we got 30 minutes. We're going to cover a lot of ground. All right. So we'll move pretty quick. Hopefully we have time for questions at the end. We will see. Before we get started, I do want to, I know Dean's not in here right now, but I want to say thank you to Dean for hosting us, for having us, hosting all of us here, and for allowing us three to talk on this panel. Dean is like the best friend of the games industry. I love him. He's great. Love to support him in any way, shape, or form. Awesome that he's on, and you guys are all on your kind of own. You guys want to do any more intro as far as your backgrounds or anything? Probably, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, sure. So my name is Teppei Tsutsui. I'm originally from Japan, but I moved to the States like about 10 years ago. And my gaming background is more like an investor. So I've been like investing in a gaming company when I was in a company called Gree. It's a mobile gaming company out of Japan. And I was doing some banking before that. So like a finance background, but I started investing on behalf of the gaming company in other game studios in consumer technology company since 2010. And maybe like one deal that I was remembering is like back I was in at the Gree, we invested in a company called OpenFaint, and that became the Discord after that because Jason left the companies and started a new company, more like not a mobile game, but it's more like another gaming company. But sorry. So that's like the GFR Fund. So we started GFR Fund to start backing the other game studios and gaming companies in the ecosystem, and we will continue to do so. So thank you for having me here.
Hi, I'm Jung-hee Jin, and I go by JJ. And I'm the CEO of NC America and also CEO of NC West. And both companies are US subsidiaries of NCSoft, a global game developer and publisher. And I'm not going to go into too much details. Actually, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jung-hee JJ Jin. And I just now work with NCSoft actually for, it's a global business. Just now building publishing business and also just now investing and acquiring like a good studio we can work with. Nice to meet you all today.
That's great, thank you. And I'm Garrett Young. I've been making games for 25 years across different companies like Microsoft and Activision and Disney. I'm now an id Software. I'm now the general manager of a small startup studio called Empty Vessel. I'm working on a game called Defect. Yay, represent.
And we invested in that.
Yay, which is why we're here today. So just closed the initial closing of the Series A round, and NCSoft is the lead in that. 1AM Capital is another one of our big investors in that. So before, I'm going to kind of tee up some questions for us through the process, but before we do that, I'd love to see a show of hands. Who here is raising right now, trying to raise money for whatever? Talked to Johnny a second ago. Okay, cool, number of people. Matt Radford, love you. Okay, now who is funding right now? Thank you for that, by the way, raising your hands. Who is funding? Who's looking for game projects? I'm like, to fund. Very nice. Everybody in the room can you're going to be inundated with conversations after this. Okay, great to know, kind of have a little bit better understanding of kind of who's here, and it does make sense given the title of the talk. So now for you guys, as you and your companies look to evaluate pitches, what are the things that you look for the most? I guess we could start with Teppei and go to JJ. Is there three things that you think, if you were to highlight like the top three things that you would expect in a pitch to say, okay, this is interesting, now we can go to the kind of the second call or kind of expand the group of people on my side that review the pitch? What would you say 2 to 3 things are most important?
So from our perspective, I think it's a team, community, and something new, like more like emerging technology or emerging market. And team is more, I think we'll have to see more like a commitment at the like early stage team, so that they have spent some time like thinking about it. They have spent time like build some like a prototype or something playable. Whether we do look at those like background as well, but we see more. I think pay more attention to like a commitment, like how much they have spent time with what they want to build. And so that's like our first thing. And second thing is like community is that because there are so many like platform out there like Discord, Instagram, like Twitters that you can build a community around your product. So whether they have built some of those like community even before launching a product or launching a game or not, it's like it's really important to us, and we kind of look at those community kind of metrics as well. And the third piece is I think there are so many interesting game companies and the game like itself, but we will be like looking at something new, like something can be like really like technology, like new platform like VR or blockchain or like maybe AI or even like emerging countries or emerging market like maybe like Latin, India, Southeast Asia, or even like Africa. So I think we're looking for something new that's like doing beyond just building games. So that's like 3 pieces.
That's great. Thank you, Tepe. What does NCSoft look for?
Yeah, I think this is probably more, my perspective than the company's perspective. But anyways, everything is mixed here. So you said 3 things, and I'm gonna say 3 things, not in order, actually, what is important than others, but more important 3 things I look at is also team. And I think actually for the team, I think there are actually 2 components actually I look at the most. And of course the product. I think actually when it comes to product, I always think, what ideas like they have, because we usually just look at, like early stage studios. And if you look at the early stage, development product, actually you really just don't see a lot of things already in the build. So you really have to evaluate their ideas, actually what specific ideas they have and what really just they want to build. I think actually, of course, idea is the most important thing, whether it's like something very unique, whether it's something new, or whether it's just something, everything is mixed already out there, but still something, very like that stands out actually from all the competitors. I think idea itself is very important, but also team is really important. I actually always put the top priority on the team, because I think it's about the team actually who is really gonna make it happen eventually. And usually actually there are so many teams actually they pitch about their previous projects, like actually I worked on this, I worked on that, I built something at Riot, I built something at Sony PlayStation. But I also ask a lot of questions of what they learned from that experience, because there are so many great projects people worked on, but it's more important to understand what they learned through their experience than what they actually built, because I'm pretty sure they were probably just not part of the team, not really leading everything at those world best companies. So I really try to understand what they learned and actually why they really just wanted to start it from scratch. And so the team is very important, but not just the team pedigree, but more like what they learned through their experience. I really ask those questions a lot. And also I look at the team dynamics, when there are co-founders or there are like a founding members who work on the initial ideas together. I try to see how the team dynamic works, like whether they really kind of work together well, or whether they actually have to work together before, or this is like a brand new team, like a 4 kind of just like a recruited through like a random network. I think that is also kind of important factor that affects on my evaluation. So the team, what actually they learned through their previous experience, and the team dynamics, the co-founding team or co-founding members, and also the idea. I think these 3 are probably the key areas actually we look at.
I love that. So I met you in like November as part of the due diligence process. We had an hour-long call scheduled, and I think about like an hour and a half. you asked really good questions, as I can recall. And there were questions along the line of, oh, it's great you worked on that project. What did you learn? What was the experience that you took away from that that was really valuable? Not just the number of units you sold or the Metacritic review, but what were the things you learned from that? Because everybody grows in their career, and you're investing as you think about investing. You're investing in the future. You're not getting the Call of Duty sales or the Doom sales or other sales from the past. You're betting on someone for the future, and so. Understanding what they took away from that experience is super valuable. I like that.
And I think I also didn't ask a lot about the project because we've already kind of done, evaluation.
There was a lot of due
product,
diligence.
So I was more curious about, how you guys work and what your kind of philosophy is and how the team works. Yeah. I was more curious about that at the time. Yeah.
That's very cool. So give us some examples. Again, avoid confidential information, obviously, but what is an example of, or I should say not an example, but what is the best pitch you've ever gotten? I mean, present company excluded, of course, but but even if you didn't get the deal, right? If you're like, oh my gosh, we're so excited about this team, and maybe somebody else, they went with somebody else. What's the best pitch? We'll start with you. We'll go in reverse order this time. What was the best pitch you ever got?
I think most game pitches are great, and I think personally, I'm actually impressed by a lot of things very easily. So whatever pitch actually you do, I think I'm gonna be very surprised and very impressed. But I think when I hear really fun ideas, I think because actually we're all in video game industries, I think there are developers who really just love the ideas actually they're working on. Actually, when I actually see the sparkles in their eyes, I really love it. There are a lot of people actually who start their pitches more like a formal way, like, hey, actually, this is actually what we're looking at. This is the market, and this is the data and demographics and blah blah. I don't think actually those are very impressive because that's basically what anyone can do. Of course, actually, it's not easy, but you can just do it, easier. And I think actually when I hear a really cool ideas they're working on, whether I totally agree with that idea or not, I can really tell, oh, actually these guys are real, very genuine. Actually, they really want to make it work. I think that is really something I'm very impressed by. And I also think of some of those examples. I don't want to just talk about specific studios or projects. We haven't actually invested in them, but I think when developers really just pitch about their ideas and why they came up with these ideas, really just tell a story behind it. I think actually those pitches are resonating more.
I like that, and I think that's a good learning for anybody raising right now. That you want to see that passion come out and the excitement. What are they excited about? Because anybody and everybody in here is pitching right now. You get bored. You get bored hearing your own voice. You're like, I've done this pitch 15 times already in the last month, and I got to do it another X number of times. So you can get bored with the pitch, but making sure that energy comes out to show whoever your audience is on the other side of the Zoom call that this is what we love, this is what we're excited about, this is what we want to bring to life. There's going to be hurdles along the way and speed bumps along the way, but seeing what the team is really passionate about is really exciting. How about you? Best pitch you've ever seen, Teppei?
It's not so I never get bored by pitches, so just to make it clear. But I think I like the more testing, like a demo or testing, or more I guess not a pitch. It's more like a experience. For example, we invested in the VRChat. It's a social VR company, but their pitch was just to put on the headset and try on the social VR. And there are some users already in the the space, and we talked about it. So we talked about a lot of things, but it's actually a part of the pitch because the founder was actually in the VR. So that was a really experience that I really enjoyed. And the other things, I guess it's more whenever we look at maybe a Discord community and people already excited about this game launching, they haven't really launched yet, but there are some already community in the Discord, or Instagram or Twitters, and they're all talking about how excited about this game, how excited about this experience. I think seeing this a reaction from users, a future user or future players, is more appealing to me or to the team than the founders pitching to us, to us. So it's show us some I don't know, it's maybe sounds a little bit arrogant, but show us some the work they have done before, even before launching the game.
I think we are in that world now. You mentioned community a couple of times, and who is not just the developers. Usually, the developers are excited about the game and what they're going to build and their vision for it. But we are. It feels like we are in a world where you can't. It's not going to be two people in a PowerPoint deck. And it's not going to be just a playable prototype. You actually have to go prove market traction, if you use the kind of a VC term there. You have to prove that there are players that are interested in the idea, interested in the world that you're building, whatever that is. It could be a Discord community. It could be wish lists. That's a big metric that it seems that a lot of publishers and investors and strategics look at if you've even announced yet. And it feels like we're in a world where if you are pitching, you need to do something to either build up that community, build up your wish lists, or like for us, 1.9 million views on our trailer when we announced the game back at Gamescom, right? So it was exciting. That was great. Like even us, we were like, oh, geez, that's more, twice as many as we thought we were going to get. If that, we released that trailer the same time that Dragon Age did their big gameplay reveal, the same day. We're like, oh, it's too bad we didn't know about that. We could have done a different day. But anyway, so that's really exciting. Okay, I'm going to ask a different question. This is a little bit different tilt on the same topic. What in a pitch is an automatic no? Like where you want to hang up the call or be like, okay, well, we're never going to talk to them again. What things turn you off as an investor, alienate you? Is there anything example? Tepe, we'll start with you. We'll kind of go back and forth like this.
Yeah, that's very interesting question. I guess
you guys are both very nice, and I know there's probably not anything that's like an automatic no. But if there was something that would be like, hey, don't put this in your pitch deck, or don't say this, or whatever.
Yeah, I guess maybe if you're talking to like a VC fund, like ourselves, I think you should know their like fund size, like a stage, their strategy a little bit. Just like we do some like a homework before talking to you guys, they should also do this, like some work too. So like for us, I think we only do seed stage, not a Series A. So whenever people say we're raising 10 million Series A, just like, I think that's not us. You got to talk to like more bigger funds. So I think that's maybe like fit, not a right thing to do, like a wrong thing to do. It's more like a fit, I think.
Yeah, I don't think actually anything really turns me off, but this is the same as actually what I said, actually what are the most important things. And when actually the team really wants to highlight too much about their past projects, sometimes they do, like actually we did this, we did that, and these are all the projects actually all my team did before. I think, maybe actually that's something actually they really want to have to talk about other than actually their new idea actually they're working right now. So when they just want to talk too much about, the team pedigree, like just highlighting what they did before, I just feel actually a little bored, like, because all the teams actually who are pitching for their, like a fundraising round, actually they're all good. So this is something I think I said actually before in another panel, but I think somehow actually all the teams, studios actually who are raising funds, actually they're really kind of already good teams. I really didn't see any team like who doesn't have any good experience. So rather than just not highlighting too much about the past projects and what you've done, I think also if you want to talk about the experience and learnings, I think that's great, but just not talking about all the project names and how much sales actually you created, it really doesn't resonate at all with me, because I think, we were part of bigger companies at some point, and just not talking too much about it, I think just makes me feel that, maybe there are nothing else actually you really want to highlight. So I think that's probably something you have to be careful about. But I also do think there are some people who might be really just drawn to those things, but not me. I think actually this is not really a good good strategy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said earlier that hearing the idea and focusing on the idea was a big thing to you as you evaluate pitches. So that makes sense. Like get through the team pretty quickly and then get into the idea, and let's kind of roll our sleeves up and talk through that. Let's talk about prototypes. When you guys get to put hands on a build, what are the things that, what is more important to you? Do you want to see, touch, feel the world, like art and audio, and feel immersed in that? Or is it more, I want a hands-on controller, keyboard, and I want to really feel that this feels as smooth as whatever kind of the biggest competitor is in that genre? What are your guys' thoughts on that? And I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of prototypes. Obviously, it's early development. The game's not going to be done, or else they wouldn't be asking for money, right? But how would you kind of balance out what's most important, what a small startup team should focus their priorities on? JJ, we can start with you.
Yeah, I think I'm not really a good person actually who can evaluate the product. I always
tip it.
think so. Yeah. But so actually, I actually really just want to have other teams actually who evaluate the product and actually share feedback together, and in the process. So there is a process for that. But for me personally, I think anyways actually when I see any prototype, because it's a prototype. So sometimes the prototype looks really, really cool. I think most prototype looks really, really cool. But what I try to see is actually what they really, wanted to start with. I think actually the core ideas, I think it's always the most important thing, actually, whether they really wanted to show something they're pursuing in the best way in the prototype. Because anyways, you can just really make it look cool. I think actually there are all the technologies. I think actually you can, if you want, actually you can make things look really cool and even smooth, even for gameplay wise. But I want to see what they really wanted to show in their prototype and what actually they really wanted to start first and then actually going to show next. So that's
Their
the most
core
important.
idea, maybe their core USP, if you will,
Yeah.
the main thing they're trying to get across in the game. You don't need to build the whole game, but if you're focused on one specific mechanic, show me that in the pitch. Okay, that's great. Tepe?
I guess we are not asking too much for the prototype because it's just a, just like JJ said, it's a prototype. But I guess we want to feel like the maybe touch and also like more maybe like piece of the core gameplay. And arts is not that important because they can change it like anyway. But also like maybe the commitment that a team has put together those like a prototype because it's like a sweat equity. They have to like really do it yourself, and even though they haven't raised any money, they can just put together some sort of the prototype, shows some like a commitment to what they want to do. So I think the fact that they built the prototype is actually a good sign for us too. Yeah. So not much, just like core gameplay, some like touch, and not a video, just like actual experience.
Actual hands-on. That makes sense. Now, how, as you play the build, play the prototype, early prototype, and maybe even back just even to this PowerPoint slides side when they were talking about their ideas, how much do you guys think about the balance of do something similar that's out there already and very successful and already has a large total addressable market versus I want something new, I want something fresh. We're only betting on new things here. New is obviously, it's innovative, it's different, hasn't been seen before in some cases, but that can itself be inherently risky. Tepe, what do you think? Balance out of what's been done before versus completely brand new, never seen before.
Yeah, I think it's more like combination, and I think there's some like a nuance to it too. We are not really looking for like a completely new, maybe like a combination, like maybe past successful game mechanism plus something like some new characters, some new genre, or some like new technology or like platform. So something in between, maybe it's like a right fit, and there's no like a right answer to. I guess you gotta like really, try and like have to like repeat a trial and error. But I think, yeah, maybe not a completely new, but not like really old. Sorry, it's not.
There's a balance. There's a balance. I get that.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, but I don't think I really like drew a line like between what's already done, actually what they're doing, and what's new. Actually, they're trying to kind of break through. But I think when actually we evaluate like any prototype or early stage build, I think actually the following Q&As is more important part. Like what the next plan and why did you make it this way and what really did you want to show, and really just try to understand whether actually their ideas actually were kind of well shown in that initial build. But after that, I think actually we just ask a lot of questions, like just understand their intention and how actually they're gonna make it through actually to the launch. And I think one of the things very helpful is just to give a lot of examples, like reference titles, because that's actually what I ask a lot. Like, what's the reference? When actually you created this, was there any reference title you just kept in mind just to make it similar, or just have it a little, better than some of those existing titles out there? Or is this kind of like something new actually you thought of? I think actually we ask those questions a lot just to understand how they kind of approach it. When even actually when they just thought something was new, I find like there are some other similar games already, right? So, but if actually they thought actually this was actually something new, actually they just thought of first time in the world, I think that's more important information to me. I think sometimes just asking like reference titles for a certain feature, certain game mechanic, or a certain art style, I think it's good to know what reference titles they had or they didn't have, or what are the things actually they really just wanted to.
What were they inspired by?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's good. That's good. Okay, that's my 5-minute alarm. So we've covered a lot of ground, covered a lot of questions, but does anybody in the room? I looked in the Whova app. I didn't see any questions posted in there if anybody's using the app. So, but we are here right now. We have 5 minutes. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? Johnny.
How can an entrepreneur tell if a rejection means never come back, or let's talk in 6 months?
I think if the email says never come back, I've only gotten 4 or 5 of those, Johnny. So, but I'll just, no, it's a good question.
You want to go first?
Sure. I think we are usually clear that if we want us to see, maybe in like 6 months, like a year from the meeting, the time we met. So I think, yeah, if we want to like continue a conversation, I think we should, and we will say that. And if not, maybe that's like a maybe sign. But I don't know. I guess I never said, never come back, right? Because you never know like what's going to happen. You never know like what's the, you might find like a really like interesting segment or interesting sector or whatever the you guys are working on. So I guess never say never.
Yeah, I think it really depends. I think it depends on like people's communication style. So to me, I also probably don't say like never come back, but I actually say those things. I usually say, hey, actually, this is not the type, we're looking at, this is not the type of game, or you guys are not exactly actually fitting to what I'm looking at, but I can introduce you to somebody else who might be interested in you. That's usually like kind of, no, probably we're not going to even look at you once again. When I say, I'm going to introduce you to somebody else if I can find somebody type thing.
What we found through the process, and it does take a while to find the right partner, right? And the right partner, it's an equal. It doesn't mean like whoever just can give me money, right? You go. It's a, if you want to call it dating, whatever, kind of use that metaphor. It's a process where each side is learning about the other, right? And so they're learning about you and me in that case, and the developer, asking for money, but also we're learning a lot about them. And so there was a lot of times where we got not the best vibe from whoever we were talking to, and multiple sources, and we kind of ghosted. Right, we kind of said, we don't really like the energy on this call. They've got some different vision, different goals than we have. So maybe let's not follow up right away with that group, right? And so, but with NCSoft, with 1AM Capital, we found people that had a kindred spirit, kindred heart, long-term vision, really believed in the quality of what we wanted to make and the quality of the games that they want in their portfolio. They weren't just asking us to do a Gen AI game. So whatever the latest fashion trend is. Nothing wrong with those games, but that's kind of not the direction we're going. We are using those tools, but it's more of a AAA quality experience. So anyway, it's equal parts on both sides. I want to make sure to chime in there. Good question, Johnny. Question right here.
Yeah, I guess for both of you, when you're participating in a Series A round, is your intent to get the team to a point where they can then go find a publishing deal, or do you build something in like for additional funding if they self-publish? What's kind of your view at Series A leading up to publishing?
I think I can go first because actually we're more like a strategic investor. Now we're not, acting as a VC. So for us, actually, when we look at like a Series A studios, we usually actually tend to also actually think this is actually a publishing opportunity. So we actually try to kind of find a way to make it work for both, like for both investment and also publishing opportunity together, because anyways I think it's going to be better for both companies to create more synergies and create more meaningful relationship. But that might not be the case for all the other like strategic investors. But I think actually when you find a strategic investor like ourselves, like a game publisher, I think for a Series A, I think I would think about just like giving the publishing right, or just not have that conversation in advance actually before you just get the money from them, because anyways at any point actually you're gonna get to that like a publishing discussion with a potential partner.
I have heard some VCs, you guys aren't a VC, but for the GFR fund, some VCs are a little allergic to publishers. I've been told that it caps the upside, right? They want now not all of them, but they would prefer self-publishing, which in itself has its own risks, right?
Yeah, I do understand that
discoveries,
some people say that. I guess that's kind of true. That if you have like a publishing deal in place, I think that's publisher will take the most of the cut from those the revenues. So I think that's like maybe like one risk that some people see, like some like investors see. But I think it's also depends. My answer to your question is more depends on like how you wanna like fund the company. Like Series A, I'm sure you're talking to like both pure VCs and also the publisher too, like both more like a simultaneous conversations. So it's more like it depends on, just like Gareth said about like one-on-one datings, and just try to find like a fit between you or like a game developers, like a publishers or like investors. I think it's more like a result of those conversations. So it might end up like having the publishing deal with some like other gaming company, or just a pure VC funding. So it's more like it depends on the situation, I think.
Thank you. What other questions? Right there, white shirt, messy hair, you there.
What's your take on single-player narrative experiences right now? Do you have an appetite for them?
Very.
I love them. I love to play them. I think that's what you're asking me, right?
I'm asking anyone. You are the decision makers. You can shape the future of games.
I think so, yes. I think actually no, we're looking at every type of game. Though actually no, we're more experts in like a live service game, hardcore like MMORPGs for now. I think we are looking at all the different game portfolios and diverse genres, and of course we are interested in like a single player narratives. I think actually that's one big very important segment, and just the fact that we just really just haven't been very successful, or haven't tried in there, doesn't mean that we're not interested in it. So yes, we're interested.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting segment, given that especially the AI is now like really generating those contents and to make it more personal experiences for like each users. And Character.ai is like just like a big gaming company, right? They're supporting all the individual needs for those what they want to tell, what they want to talk about. So I think it's a really interesting sector, and definitely we're interested. Yeah.
Question over here.
How important is the exploitation of the IP when you're thinking about game one, game two, transmedia, movie, graphic novels? Like, what is that weight into the process? You can look at a core loop of one game, but like, are you looking at a big picture, like specifically like the Empty Vessel game? Were they looking at that in a strategic, like we can make a movie about this? Like, your perspective, how did that weigh into the conversations?
I think that's actually very important component. Actually, when I look at game studios, I always think of their game project as a good IP and franchise actually that can grow into further into something else. And that's actually something I always actually looked at, even in my previous companies when we invested or acquired other studios. We always actually thought of whether actually this specific project really just can grow more than just one game. And I think this is actually probably a very important criteria that a lot of investors also look at, I think.
I think we like to be more simple, so I think it's just like upside in the future. If you have like a strong IP, then you can maybe just use for like a movies or TV shows, or like any merchandise as well. But I think it's just a upside to us. It's more focused on the game experience itself.
Any other questions?
So
To me, I think it's hard to say. Just not hearing that only. I think maybe there are reasons why those numbers are the results, and I just want to ask a lot of questions to understand what are the problems actually they think, and actually what are the things that they're gonna do, and also see if they have those capabilities to solve their problems and make improvements. So I think that there really should be more details in there. But I would be interested because I think self bootstrapped team just also just made into like early access. The fact itself, I think, is actually quite it's an achievement already. So I'd like to look at those teams.
I kind of totally agree with what the JJ said. I want to know more about the game, more about the team, and the context, and also like the future vision. And but still, it's very interesting, and it's like really good success that they have built and sold like 500,000. It's like a really great number.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
I think it's we do have those more like hypotheses around those like gaming sector market, maybe like technology, but we I guess like some funds do that kind of like more like incubation, just come up with the idea and they find like hire some of those CEO and work on it, but it's quite rare that like funds do that, especially in the gaming space. And we don't really do that either. But I think it's probably because we feel that we only not the driver's seat, like passenger seat, because the founders have to like have an internal commitment and internal like a mission that whatever he wants to do or she wants to do. So it's more like we were looking for more like a driving force, more like internal driving force from the founding team.
Any other questions?
So I'm not from the gaming industry, I'm more from a traditional tech background, and I feel like there's some very interesting parallels between regular startups and VC dynamics and like what you guys have just talked about now. I feel like one key trend of the like traditional startup VC kind of dynamic is that VCs are like, oh, we don't just bring the money, we bring like the connections, we bring additional resources, maybe it's like an incubator where they just do introductions. Do you guys also have something that is like a similar kind of connection with your the games that you fund?
That's a good question. I think actually there is a little difference, actually, as you said. But I think actually that's also what game investors also try to do. Just not having just not getting more resources actually to the studios we're investing, and I think actually that's something we are also trying to do more. Getting them more connected with other group of people who can be also helpful for their game business, but probably not so much actually as you see in just more general like a tech industry, but I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah,
How do you feel? Yeah.
we do. I guess those connections. I think we do have a connection with those like major game publishers, plus the tech companies too, like a Google, Facebook, Meta, like a Snap, those kind of folks. So we do connect those like the company that we invested in with those gaming publishers and all the big giant technology companies too. And we do also invest like a non-gaming, like a consumer technology company, and kind of helping those founders by connecting with the more like a cross connecting, maybe like maybe they want to learn from like a gaming companies, or gaming company want to learn from like a tech companies. So it's just like those like introductions, connection is also like helping, I think, helping the founders too.
By the, can I just add one more?
Please.
Yeah. Just thinking about that question a little bit more. I think actually things are a little different because most most businesses in tech, I think those are like kind of utility services. Like they can be really big, and actually you just not target like a huge audience. Actually, who are gonna use that service eventually, or tech eventually, whether it's B2B or B2C. But games, to me, it's more like a content, like it's like a entertainment content, and you usually serve like a certain segment, not everybody. Like Roblox games are not for me usually. So I think it's a little different than like a fundraising in other tech businesses, because fundamentally the business is a little different. I just see it more like in a content and entertainment business, and just know where there is a more like a segment targeting activities. So though actually we're kind of trying to connect our studios and have give more resources for them and make more like a meaningful connections and helping them just go through their paths. But I think it's a little different from actually what the traditional like a tech industry investors do.
And I will add to that from our personal experience. So in our seed round was led by 2 VCs, Sizu, awesome, Raptor, awesome, and a bunch of other investors there. And they were more VC focused, and they made a lot of introductions for us as we went into our next round, which is great. Now in our Series A, 1AM Capital is great in that a guy named Dan Bunting, who was just up on stage an hour ago or something, he has great experience, Call of Duty, Treyarch, game development, hands-on. He asks questions that are very game specific, right? So more of a contribution to us making the game. NCSoft also, especially all of our calls, once we got through the due diligence process, have been more about like kind of the go-to-market type of questions. They know the type of questions to ask because they publish games, they make games internally. And so when we'll be on a call and say, we're a little bit worried about this, they're right in parallel with us and saying, oh, okay, we understand why that's an issue. What are you guys going to do about it? Whereas in the past, we'd talk about game development issues and, the guys we're working with haven't made games before. That's not their strength. Their strength is raising funds and making decisions about where to put those funds, right? So that's really one of the things I really value in the NCSoft relationship going forward, is that we'll have people that know how to make games, but also can kind of hold us accountable, right? Because they make games. They understand the cycle of making games. We understand it too, but when we're measuring our own milestones, it's a little bit like, we can push that stuff into the next sprint, right? But when you actually have an audience that understands, it's not going to be snow, right? They understand how to make games. And that game development is hard, and there's things that have to adjust. It's good that we have that kind of partner with us, going forward, that it has experience making games. So that's really been helpful for us personally. Other questions? Good question, thank you. If there's nothing, we'll let, one under the bell. Look at the time. I'm just kidding, go ahead.
Just following up on what you just said, if you've got a partner that is familiar with game development, are you welcome to see the unfinished, dirty, like, no textured blocks?
They come into the kitchen. Like they're gonna see. I mean, it's early days, right? But they're gonna absolutely. JJ's on the board, but there's also other meetings that we have with their production group. They'll play test. They'll play test our dailies. Like we have a branch that's more like, hey, these are people we don't know. It's a month-old build. Versus NCSoft will be testing our dailies and be with us. We do larger play tests that are kind of every 2 weeks, but it's the build that we just kicked out last night. So, hopefully it's stable. But no, they've got access to our Notion, our Miro stuff, all like Slack channels. They now, and this has just happened over the last week and a half. So JJ hasn't dug into all this herself. But as she said earlier, it's a large company. There's different functions that do different things. So no, we'll be pretty transparent, I think, working together.
Just so many times when you get in a relationship like that and you're like constantly putting a demo together because
Yeah, it kills productivity. Yep.
but if you're working with someone who is less experienced in making games, if they see the untextured squares, they're like, oh my God, you're never going to.
There's a little bit of kid gloves, yes, if they haven't been through a cycle before, totally. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a question or not, but we had a good chat about that. Okay, well we took you guys over a long time, and there's a bunch of people in the bar drinking a beer right now. I'm sure we could let you guys all out to go do that. And I think there might be some other event that she's going to tell us about. There's something else going on right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.